Hey, Chuck Force Machine here, doing a review on some Japanese rifles. Arisaka rifles, that is, the Type 38 and the Type 99. As you'll see in the future here, we're going to go through the action, the specifics of the rifle, some of the history of the rifle, and I'm going to show you the bayonet. Very nice bayonet that attaches these rifles. Alright, on the Type 38, this rifle right here, basically, it's a bolt that's manufactured very similar to the K98 Mauser bolt. A lot of people copied the K98 Mauser bolt in their infantry rifles. On this one, with the bolt open, as you can see, there's the magazine, holds the cartridges. I believe this holds 5 cartridges. Right here is the kanjis, the Japanese kanjis, saying that this is a Type 38. And as you can see right next to it, this is actually called a chrysanthemum, or nicknamed the mum. Basically, this 16-petal chrysanthemum was the mark of the emperor. So whatever had the chrysanthemum was actually emperor's property. Now the thing about the emperor's property is when the Japanese surrendered, and during the surrender, even Japanese soldiers would chisel off the chrysanthemum and deface it, being that they didn't want the emperor's property in the Americans' hands. So they knew it was coming when they were surrendering. But also the chrysanthemum was absolutely defaced when these rifles were captured and actually used in other countries. Now this rifle here with the action and the bolt, as you can see, comes with a dust cover. This dust cover, as you can see, actually covers up the bolt very nicely. As you can see, the finish here is nice compared to the oxidized, corroded finish on the other side. As I close the bolt, you can see where these made up, and that's the same finish all the way across. Now as you see on the back of the bolt here, you actually see a very nice machine knurled face. Now that machine knurled face was so you can actually stick your thumb in here and turn the bolt for the safety. Now this Type 38 manufacturing and the machining of this weapon here is very nice. It's very smooth, very nice machining. And when we get into Type 99, you're going to see that the machining is quite different, and I'll tell you this history about that when we get to it. Now the rear sight. Let's talk about the rear sight. See, on the rear sight we actually have a V-notch right here. The V-notch sight is different than a Type 99, but you actually see there's a V-notch here, and then there's also a V-notch right here on the sight. Now what that V-notch does is basically line your front sight post up with this V-notch. Here is the front sight post, which is basically a triangle, and then these machined in I guess lugs right here that's not for carrying anything, but actually it's protection to not ding down the front sight. Back to the rear sight, as you can see, we line up the front sight with the rear sight. Now, if they wanted to shoot longer range, I believe this was set up for about 100 meters. But if you set this up, now this V-notch is taking the place of this V-notch. And now this V-notch right here actually moves up. And you can see on the front sight here that these numbers are graduated. Now these are in hundreds of meters. So it goes all the way up to 2,400 meters. So you can actually take your sight, get it all the way up to 2,400 meters if you can actually see that far, and be able to shoot aircraft down if possible. And we'll get into a little bit different sighting systems on the Type 99 compared to the Type 38. But this is a very nice, thick steel, durable sight, very structured, very strong. Now onto the Type 38 trigger. What we have is a very, very nice machined trigger guard, very thick. And then built into the trigger guard is the magazine release. Basically being able to dump all your ammunition out due to a jam or not just a reload, because you can reload it from the top with a stripper clip. Now this magazine well is very nicely built, snaps right in, very nice thick trigger. And as you can see, this is the magazine well that we just popped out. So if you pop out the magazine well, as you can see right through, down through the bottom here. And usually that's for helping getting a jam out or a broken cartridge. Now onto the stock. This is basically a finger hold stock, typical laminated stock where you got 2 pieces of wood here. You see this fine line? That line of wood is basically made where they took 2 pieces of wood, which was cheaper than actually cutting out a large piece of wood and wasting all the material when they routed it out. This rifle does come with straps. your basic strap carriers, and this stock is actually in pretty decent shape. It's not too beat up. And as we look at the front end here, this is where you would actually release and take the rings off to take your stock apart and take the top, and we'll do we may end up doing the disassembly later. And that is your basic Type 38. As you saw in the Type 38, we have the bayonet lug, and this is actually the bayonet. And actually, it's very nice shape. It's not too rusted at all. Very good shape on this. You just keep it oiled up, and it has a nice metal sheath to it, actually. But the cool thing about the bayonet is basically it's just a one little button lug on the back to release it from the bayonet. So you just stick it on your rifle like this, line it up with the bayonet, and it just clips on. And that's as easy as it gets to take this bayonet off. Now the bayonet itself, to release it, you just push this lug right here and pull it right off, and you actually have a hand weapon. Now on the rifle itself, this rifle is very, very long. And what I would say is if I go to measure this rifle from the buttstock to the tip of the barrel is just over, it's about 50 inches and 1/8. Okay, now imagine a very smaller stature Japanese infantryman holding this rifle, and it's already a long rifle, but then he wanted to make a long bayonet on here. So as you can tell, as you can see with the bayonet on here, it extends us out further, and the length of this thing is amazing. And so now we're actually just at 65 inches and 1/8. So that is a very, very tall gun. That's almost it's almost 6 feet in length. Now, some people say that the Japanese basically needed the length of the rifle because of their short stature, which also made short arm length in their physical buildup. And that there is the Type 38 bayonet. So the Arisaka bolt-action service rifle is used primarily everywhere the Imperial Navy, Army, and the Imperial Navy fought. The Imperial Japanese Navy, that is. Prior to World War II, Arisakas were used by the British Navy and also by the Russian Army in Finland and Albania. The Czech legions that fought in the Russian Revolution were almost entirely armed with the Type 30s and Type 38s, but they didn't see the Type 99 until later. Many captured Arisaka rifles were employed by neighboring countries, both during and after World War II, in places such as China, Thailand, Cambodia. But after the Japanese surrender in the summer of 1945, all manufacturing of these rifles and ammunition just stopped abruptly. It was just done. And the Arisaka, quickly became obsolete, absolutely not even being made anywhere. Since most Imperial Japanese armory contents were thrown into Tokyo Harbor after the signing of their surrender, spare ammunition also became rare. Additional 6.5 by 50 millimeter SR ammunition was, however, produced in China for the use of their captured rifles. And you can still get the 6.5 by 50 millimeter cartridges made actually by Hornady now for the Type 99. So by the time full-scale war had broken out over the Pacific, the Type 99 was already in use by forces of the Imperial Japanese Navy. However, the production seemed never to catch up, so they still used the Type 38. And both were used concurrently while the Type 99 never fully replaced the 38 as it was intended to. As you can see on this Type 99 rifle, the Type 99 was actually made as a very quick, down and dirty manufacturing production rifle. And what they did was they basically took out a lot of the manufacturing techniques and shortcutted a lot of things. One of the shortcuts you see here is on the back of the bolt. There is no nice knurled machining. It's just a welded on cap. And looking at this bolt, I mean, it's really loose. It is basically just thrown together. Now, I was told that a lot of infantrymen that came back from Japan that had these as war trophies, when they got on the boat, they made them take their bolt out and throw it in a bucket, and then they had to put the rifle in another 55-gallon barrel drum. And so a lot of the guys that got these rifles as war trophies brought them home, but then just grabbed a bolt out of the bucket on the way out, not knowing that they were serialized or didn't care. So a lot of these Arisaka rifles, you don't see the bolts actually matching up to the rifles themselves as far as serial numbers. This one here still has the kanjis here saying that this is the Type 99. It also has the 16-petal chrysanthemum. As far as this stock, as you can see, it's a two-piece stock made here with two pieces of wood. It's lower manufacturing grade. This one is really beat up. I'm pretty sure this was probably issued in the war and used. Now this actual sight is a little bit different. As you can see, it actually has a peep and then another peep. And just like the V-notch on the Type 38, this is actually an upgraded version of the sight. It's a little bit more accurate. Now as I pull up to the front sight, now here they removed these nice machined lugs out to protect the front notch of the front sight. Is actually another easier way to get the manufacturing done quicker to get these rifles out. This rifle is actually considered basically a throwaway rifle. On the rear sight, back to this rear sight, as we see the graduations, as you can see, they actually come back up here numbered. Now these numbers kind of disappear on the front part of this sight, but this sight here is actually what was called an anti-aircraft sight. Now what's missing are the little bars that actually folded, that actually were straight up here, and then the little bars would actually come out at 90 degrees, and then they could actually line up the horizon with that, shooting at aircraft. Now shooting at an aircraft with a 7.7mm rifle, good luck, and maybe they had some success, but that's basically the gist of the rifle itself. And to show you the manufacturing techniques of this rifle were very downgraded just to get them built. As you can see, between the 99 and the Type 38, you can see the bolt smaller. As the Type 99 basically was based off the Mauser action, the Mauser bolt. So if we take these bolts out, and you can see there's the Type 99 bolt, and then we actually have a K98 Mauser bolt. Now this bolt here it's curved down, but basically if you look at these things, they're pretty much the same design. Now most of the World War II bolt action rifles were based off the Mauser bolt, and being that this bolt was proven to be just awesome, a lot of people copied this design. Now this bolt here that goes in my Mauser is chromed, but it fits very nice and snug. And if you look at the Type 99, the difference on their design here, though, was, I mean, it's it's very loose. It's very loose compared to the Mauser, and that's all machining techniques. And this is hard. I can hardly get any play in the rear end of this bolt here. One of the things about the bolt differences is the Mauser bolt cocks the bolt as you cock it up and pull it out. The Type 99 bolt, basically they wanted to make a faster system of cocking that they would think would be a faster rate of fire. So you would pull up this bolt, but it wouldn't cock until you push her down. So that gives that extra little spring action right here. That's cocking the bolt down. Where on the Mauser, when you pull it up, it's actually, you can see right here, the bolt coming out of the back, it's actually cocking up, and then it's cocked and it's ready to fire. Whereas the Type 99, as I just showed, it cocks on the way in. So that's the differences on the bolt and with the Type 99, and it's the same on the 38, but they were basically both designed after the Mauser bolt action rifle. So the Type 99 Arisaka rifle, here's the bolt, which I just said basically manufactured pretty much identical to the Mauser bolt. Let's take the Mauser bolt out. Now the Mauser, as you can see, is pretty much the same like I showed you earlier. Now let's look at a 1903 Springfield made for the U.S. Army. U.S. Remington model 1903. Well, we take a look at this bolt, and what do we see about this bolt that's made by an American rifle? Yep, pretty much the same, based off the same idea and structure of the Mauser bolt. Just the safety is a little bit different, the design is just slightly different. But then we look at the Type 99 bolt, and it's very similar too. Just a little bit differences just in the make. So basically looking at these two, and so that proves right there that a lot of these designs of the bolt were made from the K98 manufacturing style. Okay, so I showed you the Type 99 bolt, the M1903 bolt, and now the Mauser bolt, which these are all based off of. But during the war, the Russians also made a Mosin Nagant, and looking at the bolt on this thing, it's actually totally different. When you open a bolt on a Mosin Nagant, you actually have to pull the trigger to get the bolt out. Now looking at this bolt, this is actually way different than the Mauser bolt. They actually made this totally different just because of design styles and not having the technology of what the Germans had at the time, and to design into what they've actually had. Now this Mosin Nagant, it just shoots great, and I just love this gun. But as you can see, just wanted to show you the bolt differences between the Type 99 and 1903, the Mauser, and then the Mosin Nagant. So there you have it, folks. This pretty much concludes the review of the Type 38 and the Type 99. But one last thing I wanted to show you was the Type 99 height compared to the Type 38. This one right here is the Type 99. This one right here is the Type 38. What I have in my hand over here is a Mosin Nagant. Now this rifle here, the Type 99, is shorter. It's made mainly for more infantry style of shooting. But also the Type 38, which is a very long rifle. I thought the Mosin Nagant was longer until I actually put them side by side. And as you can see, the height here with the bayonet and the total here is about 66 inches. I'm 68 inches tall. And that is an amazing long weapon to actually have. Now, we also have a Mosin Nagant tent stake style bayonet. Now this bayonet here was basically, it fits on here, and the cool thing about the bayonet is it kind of fits on tight, but it's also a very long, nice weapon itself. But as you can see here, between the Type 99, take the sheath off, and the Mosin Nagant sitting side by side, they're almost the same length with the bayonet. There's something to that. So anyway, I would not like to be ever stabbed by a bayonet, but it's just really cool, the history behind these weapons and the history of what happened in the war. And later on, stay tuned. I will be doing some information on these flags and what they're and what the kanjis mean, and with the imperial flag that the rifles were sitting on here on the table. So if you like this, subscribe, like it, share it, and we'll talk to you again. Surrender!
Should we? No.
Surrender your arms!
Do you think we should? No.
Please?
Okay!
Yay!
Bye, guys. Why are we surrendering again? He said please. We gotta honor the please. Oh, yeah.